Honda is beating Toyota at their own game with this new Passport. We're going to compare it to the Land Cruiser. I'll include a link to the Toyota and Murray's website in the description down below, and then the Honda and Murray's website in the description down below. They're providing us with both of the vehicles. Let's get right into the comparison. This week's giveaway highlight is a classic Corvette with a big block V8. If you're interested, use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus entries on any donation $25 or more. Pardon, the Land Cruiser is a hybrid turbo 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic. Fuel economy is 22 around town, 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. The Honda is powered by a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy is 18 around town, 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 285 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Got to appreciate struts versus this freaking garbage. So stupid. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now, both these vehicles have a very boxy style. They've got fog lights. The Land Cruisers are actually color changing. It has recovery points. But yeah, the Honda, other than color changing fog lights, has all of the same front end off-road equipment. Now, there is a difference with the tire and wheel setup. With the Honda, it's 275 by 60 by 18. With the Toyota, it's 265 by 70 by 18. Basically, the Toyota can accommodate for larger tires compared to the Honda, but the Honda does come stock with more aggressive tires. Now, you've got side steps on the Toyota. You can also get it with rock rails. The Honda, they don't really have anything on the side from my understanding. Now, the Toyota is body on frame, solid axle in the back, independent front suspension, so it's kind of more of a traditional truck setup. The Honda, on the other hand, is unibody with independent suspension all around, so it's kind of more new school. Now, being unibody means that everything can sit a little bit lower in the Honda, so you've got a massive cargo area. We also have a little outlet here, 150 watt. But yeah, with the seats folded down, I mean, there is a crazy amount of space, and they fold down flat. Toyota being body on frame means everything's pushed up, plus the hybrid battery pushes things up, so it is not as spacious as you might think considering the size. And then the seats themselves don't really fold down flat. They're kind of like flat-ish, but it's not as good as the Honda setup. But you do have a 2400 watt inverter, so that's a bit more aggressive with the power. Now, finally, the back end of the Honda, I think they did a great job with styling, and just the Passport in general. It looks fantastic, and the Land Cruiser also looks great, and you can see the height difference. I mean, they are on a little bit of a slope, but they're actually not as different as you might think. The Honda's a little bit shorter, but not that much shorter. Now, in the back of the Honda, I've got great leg room. I like the kind of knee positioning. Got a little storage pocket there, some USB ports. Throw this up. This one isn't the fully loaded Passport, but you still have really nice seats here. You also have nice trim there on the door panel and good headroom in the back. Now, the front seat of the Toyota is pushed back just a little bit too much, but anyways, there's just not as much space in here in general. Body on frame vehicles, it's always like that. But I do have some fancy features back here, like my own, the camera won't focus on it, my own climate zone, got some USB ports. And then the seats here in the Land Cruiser, it's pretty fancy looking. Same thing with the trim of the door panel. A little bit less headroom because of the sunroof. Taking a look at the front of the Honda, you've got really cool style there, memory seats, we've got blind spot monitoring, and then look at these seats here, Trailsport on them, power adjustable too. And if we quickly start it up, digital gauge cluster there in the center. Got the steering wheel with the orange stitching, paddles on the back of the steering wheel. And then nice infotainment system. It's just a regular backup camera with this particular one, Trailsport S. But yeah, it's quick to respond. It's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Got your tri-zone climate controls below with the heated seats, some more USB ports. There's a phone charging pad, cup holders right here, transmission select as well, drive modes for off-road use basically mostly. Big center console, nice trim there. And then you got a panoramic sunroof and plenty of headroom. Now with the Land Cruiser, you've got a lot of the same equipment, memory seats, blind spot monitoring, and then you can see with the seats, really nice trim, power adjustments with lumbar support. And if we start it up, we've got a digital gauge cluster just like the Honda. The camera system's a bit better because it's actually a 360. And you've got a pretty responsive infotainment system. It's got Apple CarPlay and all of that. Heated ventilated seats, you've got your climate controls down below, phone charging pad, drive mode select. This has off-road modes too, and it's got more traditional truck setup. So 2-speed transfer case, the Honda doesn't have that. This also has a stabilizer bar disconnect, diff lock for the center and the rear, big center console. camera rearview mirror, which is cool, and then just actually a traditional sunroof. Now when it comes to pricing, the Land Cruiser is about $70,000, whereas the Honda is just over $51,000. Let's see how they perform. Let us start off in the Honda first, and then we will drive the Land Cruiser second. Now I will say, the orange lights that the Honda has, and this is an orange car, so it's like double orange. But yeah, the orange lights that it has for the daytime running lights look really cool. Now obviously you don't see that from being the driver, but you know it's there, and so you're like, yeah, I look cool going down the road. Now this V6 is smooth with the 10-speed. You do got to ring it out a bit, but here's my kind of thing with engines, because I've tested out so many over the years. Smoothness. Here's our greater than side. So smoothness, greater than sign going that way. Power on the other side. If an engine is smooth and has less power, it's just better, because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going up to higher RPMs and ringing the engine out more, but it's smooth. It doesn't really get in the way, and that's what this feels like. The buttery smooth. Absolutely fantastic. The suspension's comfortable too. We'll turn down here. Yeah, comfortable suspension. I mean, this is a nice drive. And here's the deal, is just like, you know, the Ridgeline gets made fun of. It's not a real truck, it's a car. It's like, well, 95% of driving with a truck, right, is just daily driving. So you still get lots of truck capability, but then something's more comfortable. And that's kind of what the Passport does with an off-roader. 95% of the time you're going to be on pavement. 5% of the time you're going to be off-road. Now I'm a little bit more than that, because I love off-roading a little bit too much. It's getting suspicious how much I like off-roading. But if you're going to be going down most trails, dirt trails, steep inclines, Honda's got a great all-wheel drive system. Where this will obviously be limited is the super articulated stuff, but at that point it's like, okay, well, now you're serious about it. But for what most people will do, this is great. And these tires are pretty darn good. You know, people talk about clearances. That is a little bit of an issue, but like if you're on graded dirt roads and you're going up, you know, steep, sandy, you know, rocky, dirt-covered hills, as long as the rocks aren't too big, it's not that big of a deal. Again, I go down so many off-road trails, and most off-road trails are pretty darn... Oh, I gotta go this way, I forgot. Most off-road trails are pretty darn mild. So the Passport gives you car-like driving, because this is unibody and independent suspension, but it gives you the cool, rugged off-roader looks. So you really do get kind of the best of both worlds, where it can do some off-roading, but it's also great for daily driving. Let's pop into the Land Cruiser and see how that feels. Land Cruiser, back to back with the Jeep Honda. Just kidding. Well, I mean, not kidding. It's kind of like Honda's Jeep in a way, right? Now, this new Land Cruiser has pretty good on-road manners. Like the steering with this electronic rack, even though this is a full-time four-wheel drive system, right? You got all-wheel drive in the Honda, four-wheel drive in this. You know, the steering's not super heavy. It's light, it's direct, and this has a lot of torque. So you do feel the torque difference. But this engine it's a 4-cylinder turbo hybrid. It's kind of choppy. It's kind of choppy. Now, surprisingly, this is maybe slightly more insulated than the Honda, but not really that much more. I feel like I can hear noise outside just as well as I could in the Honda. Now, I do like the low-end torque in this quite substantially. It's nice. It's just got a big shove right off the bat. But it's choppy. It's a little bit choppy. Now, this drives like a truck. So when you go around corners in this, you kind of go a little bit slower. It kind of wallows a little bit. The benefit is when you go over bumps, right, it hits the frame, so you don't feel the bumps as much as you do in the Honda. But the body moves a little bit more over the bumps, so you kind of feel it more in that way. So it's a give and a take, really. And that solid axle, you can feel it working in the back too. Again, truck stuff. I don't mind it, because I've driven trucks for years now. But, you know, when you compare it to unibody on-road and independent suspension on-road, yeah, it does make a pretty big difference. At least I think it makes a pretty big difference. So, which which way do you do the, that one's orange, but we'll pretend it's red. Do you do the red pill or the blue pill? Because this one's Heritage Blue. $20,000 is a boatload of money. That's a boatload of money. I mean, if the average person makes about 50 grand a year, roughly, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, it's a big chunk of your yearly effort, right? So with that in mind, if you're not, and I've said this so many times and I'll say it again, if you are not going to do any sort of off-roading, buying a truck makes no sense with an SUV. You know, if the money's the same, I get it, right? If you're looking at a 4Runner SR5 and comparing to the Honda, it's like, okay, well, they're about the same price. The Honda has more features, the 4Runner truck, right? I get that. But when you're looking at a $20,000 price gap, and this has a few more features than that Honda, but not that much more, right? You got camera rear view mirror, 360 camera, cooled seats. It's so much money. It's like, okay, if you're not going to do the off-roading, you're paying $20,000 for something that you're not going to use, really. And I know people argue with me, oh, this and that, and it's like, okay, cool story, bro. Either you're climbing over rocks or you're not. And if you're not climbing over rocks, the Honda is less money and it drives better on road and it looks just as cool. So yeah, Honda's offering something that Toyota really isn't. And I think that unibody kind of off-road appearance segment, whatever you want to call it, I think it's going to become extremely popular in the coming years.